So, Tren, thanks for joining us on Behind the Noise.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Marc?
It took us a while to get here, but we got you here eventually.
Good to be here.
So you've just finished an EP.
I have.
What's it called?
It's called Rolled Into One.
And how did you come to that name?
Because I did some artwork with a die that had a single, one digit on it.
Okay.
And then I thought it'd be a clever pun because
Oh,
I
I
was
see.
trying to roll a number of different musical ideas into a single EP. Makes
Cool.
it sound really exciting.
Because you weren't. Did you change your mind? You were going to call it something else at one point, weren't you?
I was going to call it No Choice after the
All right.
first track. But
That's what one of the songs is called.
That's the first track.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
Choice.
So what is the concept behind it then?
It was something that came out of a conversation you and I had in the pub,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
No Choice. It's about not having any choice, really.
Well, what do you do when you have no choice?
You just got to get on with it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Or live in the moment, as the lyric says on the song.
Yeah, that's true. So
Do I need to plug at this point? Is this
you can plug. Yeah, where can people get it?
Tren.bandcamp.com?
There you go. That's for a Bandcamp address. That's pretty damn good.
It is.
Do you say what were you saying? Some Spanish guy had it.
Yeah, I had to have Tren Music to begin with, and then some Spanish guy got a cease and desist letter from me and had to fuck off.
So other than the Bandcamp, is that the only place people can go to
It's
get
going to
it?
be on Spotify and iTunes and Apple Music
Cool.
and all that.
Will that be happening soon?
Probably by the time this goes out, actually.
Cool. Ah, that's good to know. All the usual places.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've been known as many other names in your past in your showbiz career.
My shop is good. I've got a number of different aliases I like to go by.
I've always wanted to be called Tren though.
Well, that's what you first knew me as, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just thinking the other day. I've known you for 18 years. I think it was 2000, so maybe 17
No, it was
years.
99.
99. 18
September
years.
99, yeah.
That's like there aren't that many people that I've known that long. Really, other than family. Because back in the day we studied IT.
We did. Well, that's where all my music sort of self-creation stuff's come from, really.
Yeah,
is
'cause
tinkering with computers.
99. I was 18. So what were you? 17, 16? In 99, I was 18.
I was 16 going on 17. I think.
Yeah. So you were Mr. Radiohead back in the day.
Yeah, still like Radiohead
Yeah.
now, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, big influence.
But
You were Mr. Metallica, obviously.
I was.
So.
well, now I've become a bit more eclectic.
Mr. Megadeth now. So.
Yeah, Mr. Megadeth. Slight bit of testament.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where we met, and that was like computer games, music,
Yeah.
IT in general. That's what brought us together, and the core group of friends that we had.
Yeah, you introduced me to Metallica, actually. Well, sort of.
You must have been aware
I
of
knew
them. But
I knew the song One, and that was it. It was one of the first MP3s.
You must have known it as a
One of the
sound
first MP3s I downloaded illegally, obviously. And
yeah, that's true. Back in the day,
yeah,
1999. That was when that was all going off. That was when,
Napster.
and Lars was the most hated man in the world.
Have you seen that thing? The Napster guy that was the one that Timberlake played in the
Sean
social-
Fanning, is it?
Oh, is it him or is it maybe somebody else? Sean Parker, I think it
Sean
is.
Parker. Yeah.
He's come out completely against Facebook just the last few days.
Against it, how?
As in, it's just a social experiment gone wrong now, and it's screwing with kids' minds. And it's too big, and there's actually a lyric on the EP a bit about that.
Oh, is that what that's about? Right. Because that's an interesting point. Why do you think there's an ulterior motive why he's come out with that?
There's
Just jealous.
There's a few people I think in Silicon Valley now that they've made the money
Yeah.
and they thought it was amazing, and now they've taken a step back and looked at what an impact it's had on society. They've kind of thought, I'm going to say something so my conscience is clear,
Yeah.
and I feel like I wasn't a part of this, but actually
Bit of cleansing.
probably.
I don't know. But yeah, so I mean, back in the day, it was like before. That was when Fileshine was first coming in. It was all I remember downloading stuff illegally without
Yeah.
even thinking about it, not thinking about what was going to happen and how it was going to affect people in the future, because we weren't artists ourselves even then, really,
No.
were we?
I still bought CDs.
I did. But for me, there was a patch where it went down. I wasn't buying CDs. I was just getting everything offline, off the internet. But then when I realised what was going on, I was like, if I really like something, and the money's gone into me making it, I should buy it.
It was the music label's fault though for
yeah.
wanting the internet to just go away, like it was just some fad that was just
They just buried their head in the sand, didn't
yeah,
they? Just
yeah.
which we're talking about this the other night on here.
Finally, Spotify, and there's a
well, it's
model
iTunes.
now that will
iTunes.
now.
Well,
it was Steve Jobs. That
everything
did it,
that like the fact that it's a computer company that owns the biggest chunk of that pie tells you everything you need to know. Record company. Like if you'd said 20 years ago, like this is the internet, you can get everything off the internet, but the record companies won't be much involved with it. People are like, what? A computer company is going to rule it all. You're like, nah, can't see that.
Well, they forged the path, didn't they? I mean,
they did. They're just ahead of the game.
I don't know how much labels now own shares in Spotify or how it's
That's
all
happening.
I mean,
That is happening. Yeah, that's definitely. There's like, well, they're buying shares gradually in the streaming services, so now they can leverage against the reasons why they can pay the artists fuck all, basically. And unless that changes, it's still going to be a struggle to be an artist.
Speaking of streaming revenue, I remember when there was that story in the news about Lady Gaga and that she'd earned about 14 pence the whole year, or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
I've already earned $50 from streaming the last 12 months, and there's only me listening to my music, so I don't know what she was doing wrong with that.
There's surely not only you listen to your music.
Well, me and a couple of people I work with that I say have a listen. Don't quit the day job.
But it would be nice to think if like you put your music online and you get paid reasonably for it. If you got like, I don't know, what is it now? 0.02 pence per stream.
I'm quite impressed with I only looked into Bandcamp because of this, and I thought, well, I'll put it somewhere else that I can immediately put it up, because it normally takes, the publisher I use normally takes a few weeks.
Oh, so that was like instant?
Before it appears on Spotify and iTunes, etc.
Ah, right.
And I was working on the EP up until just a few days ago.
Yeah.
So needed somewhere that I could put it up quickly, and found this Bandcamp thing. It's quite impressive. You can set your own pricing, and the pricing of it is the same price as a Big Mac sandwich.
So why did you decide to do that?
Because I thought if somebody likes it and wants to buy it,
psychologically
they could look at it and say, I could have had a Big Mac sandwich, or I could buy, support a musician. So
is that how you sell it?
Yeah.
It's the same price as a Big Mac. That's good. I like it.
It's just an idea. Well, it wasn't my idea. Somebody else came up with it, and I said, I'll do that.
Yeah, but I've never used Bandcamp. I've heard of it. And
There's a whole meme on the internet that I saw after I'd signed up for it. I had a look, and there was this meme, Bandcamp versus SoundCloud, I think it was, and it was like the kinds of artists that go on Bandcamp are kind of quite hipstery.
Okay.
Maybe up their own arse themselves a bit too seriously types, whereas SoundCloud, it seemed like they were far more cool and street and all that. So I've probably picked the right.
There's always factions in these things, isn't there?
Yeah, well, it's all.
SoundCloud is not doing very well, from what I'm.
Are they not?
Have you heard about it?
No.
They've sold off 40% of their workload in the UK and Europe.
Oh.
They're downsizing because they're losing money. They haven't to like. That's how they got funded. Not crowdfunding, but this investment. I can't know what they call it, circle investment or something, where people they do a round of investments and people keep putting money in.
Yeah.
And that's the only way they've survived for the last few years.
I don't know. Bandcamp, I mean, if anybody buys any of my tracks through Bandcamp, I get 100% of the
that's good.
money.
That's
but
good.
So, but I'm assuming Bandcamp make their money through their
they have a pro.
Yeah.
SoundCloud's the same, but because SoundCloud allows a lot of music, like unlicensed music on it, they have to keep playing. They have to keep paying these licenses or these lawsuits. I don't know how it's working. They have to because it's quite complicated. If someone puts a cover up, then they have algorithms that pick out a bit like YouTube, out this is a cover. So they'd have to work out all the publishing rights with all the publishers. And
the thing I always see on SoundCloud is if I'm looking into new music libraries for computer software, that all the companies that provide those normally seem to have the demos for those on SoundCloud, and then people putting comments going, oh yeah, this sounds like it's going to be a great library, can't wait to buy this and stuff like that. But I've never really found any. It's just not been somewhere I've ever really gone for original music or anything.
I mean, we were, as Dynamo, there's a couple of things on SoundCloud, but we never really used it. But then for the podcast, people started using things like SoundCloud as their host of their podcast.
Right.
Where you can for free, you can't put much on there. You have to start paying, but they're not designed for that. They don't cater for podcasts. So like, there's always all the industry professionals are telling people don't. If it's
SoundCloud.
What kind of business model is a model that doesn't cost you anything?
Yeah,
but there's like hosting services, bandwidth services. So I wouldn't. That's why we go with Libsyn, because it was like I just went, what's the best one? Libsyn. Like the top 5, I think 10 of the top 50 podcasts in the world are on Libsyn. So I was like, right, let's go there, and it's reasonably priced. Yeah. And you just sign up for it, put your podcast up, and it just publishes to everywhere you want it to publish.
Do they have an algorithm where every time you mention Libsyn, somebody in their offices goes, right, well,
I hope so.
Best listen to this. Promote it.
I hope so. And I just went, what's the best? Let's go for it. And it's worked so far. So, but so like I've known you for 17 years, and I remember you had written some songs then, as far as I remember. Can you remember when you did write your first song?
Don't think it was until 2002 or
Was it?
2003.
I thought you'd already had. Oh, you must have had some
I
ideas.
had little ideas and chords, but I just never committed to it. And then when I went to university, I thought, right, I'm going to try and be a songwriter, and I've just been trying ever since.
No, but if you'd committed more to sort of sticking to a name in the day, you'd have quite a back catalogue by now.
Well, I have got quite a back catalogue. It's just split out in disparate names.
So do you think you'll go back and reissue some of the other stuff as Tren?
No.
No? You just all go for fresh from this point forward?
I've got 4 more names in me, I think. And then
it shouldn't be 4 more names, it should be 4 more albums.
Well, it's 4 more projects, and then there's going to be a 5th name at some point where I'm just going to go, I'm fed up with making up new names now.
So why don't you just stick to one and just put out music under that one name?
Because I still haven't worked out who it is that I am.
But what's in a name?
It is. Well, it's branding, isn't it, really, I guess?
But doesn't your brand get lost if you keep changing it?
Yeah, but I don't think any of the brands that I've come up with yet are the...
I think Tren could be the one.
brand. No.
It's a strong name, and to be honest, these days, the less letters involved in a name, the better for discovery and just brand awareness.
Well, the thing is, the beauty of it is I could resurrect any of these brands any time I like if I feel...
That's true.
I've got a rapping brand, for God's sake. It's
a rapping brand?
Yeah, that was Verbose.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
My hip-hop rapping brand.
But you did I remember years ago, you did the side project of Dr. Glam with your brother.
Yeah, Doc Glam's coming back, actually. That's one of the remaining 4, a double album of 21 songs.
Dr. Glam with your brother?
No, just me.
Wow. Because that was good.
Just me.
That was short and sweet, but it was good.
Yeah.
That was like, I don't know when that was, early 2000s?
That was 2007.
Wow.
10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago.
How time flies. Because we've...
Best gig Penrith Playhouse has ever put on, really. And it's never going to have a better gig than that now.
No, it's like on the wall. It's like a Hall of Fame. Never be as good as this day. No, but I mean, our other mutual interest is computer games. Mm-hmm. But you still play much these days?
Probably not so much now. I play the odd game. I actually had a round of Halo... Was it Halo 2 or Halo 3? Just a few weeks back.
On which platform?
On an Xbox 360, an old Xbox 360.
Wow.
That was a bit of a blast from the past.
Yeah, because that's a cool game. That's like...
I still am not as good at Halo 3 as I was at the very first one. I found I was strongest at Halo 1. Because the sniper rifle just felt really solid.
You can't argue with the maps.
Good map design,
flawless.
Yeah.
But I've got an Xbox One, but the internet here is so bad. When I turn it on now, I was like, oh, there's 42 gigabytes of updates. I'm like, I'll leave it. But like, I remember there was a period when the second Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out, Modern Warfare 2, and that was when we first got. Well, the first time we played it, do you remember? Well, I think we were at a friend's house and we had it on split screen.
Yeah.
You were like chuffed that a console still did like split screen.
Yeah.
Because there was a time when all games, everyone had to have
all just
on the
online,
console and a
they?
separate copy of the game. We were like, what? That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah. No, I assume is that I don't know. Is that still the case now? Or are games pretty much only online?
There's only
now
Halo
split screen?
and COD that does it these days, which is, I mean, I don't know why, but it's a big industry. LAN parties. Remember LAN parties back in the day?
I think it's quite sad that that's got lost, really, because it's a
social
far more
aspect of it.
social occasion if you're all in the same room playing a game together.
Totally.
You can swear at each other face to face.
You can actually punch each other.
Yeah, rather than over a broadband.
But that's like what we used to do. We used to get like 8 of us together, all in one room, just playing that for like hours and hours and hours.
That original Halo, was it Blood Canyon? Was that the one?
Blood Gulch.
Blood Gulch, that was it.
And the second one was Coagulation.
Yeah, that Blood Gulch, that's superb, man.
It was never be beaten. So as good as the Doom maps back in the day.
See, that was something that I didn't like about the later Halos. I'm sure I never managed to successfully sniper somebody out of a tank on the later Halos. But you could do that on the first one, and I thought that was a great touch. Unless I just lost my ability to snipe by the later games.
So, what have you been listening to recently, music-wise? Do you listen to much?
Myself on loop.
Of course, that's how you got your 50 quid. Yeah. But do you listen to anything like new these days, or do you find yourself going back into old stuff?
I was actually listening to Metallica's S&M the other day.
Wow.
What else have I listened to recently? I don't know. Somebody gave me some stem files the other day. Have you heard of stem files?
Yeah, yeah.
So some stem files for what's the name of that American artist who was female artist who was playing at Manchester when that bomb
Ariana
went up?
Grande.
Yeah. One of her the stem projects for one of her songs.
Right.
And I sort of listened to that, but not really I didn't really enjoy it on a musical level, but I found it interesting just the
raw elements.
How well, this is something I'm starting to try and do more in my own music, is make each of the individual stems sound good enough on their own. So just the guitar parts sound great, just the drums sound great, just the bass sound great. And then when you put it all together, it just sounds incredible. But yeah, because it's easy when you start just throwing stuff together in a mix and then not soloing stuff, it can still sound all right.
Yeah. But
making every stem sound really strong on its own is actually quite a challenge.
Like when you've ever watched them classic albums, the VH1 classic albums, when they go back to the original raw tapes and they solo certain tracks, and you're just like, wow. That's what you need. That's what you should be aiming for.
Well, real
I wonder if a lot of people
musicianship,
do that these days.
Yeah, I don't know whether Pro Tools has necessarily made musicianship better. It's made for better engineered records, but whether the actual musicianship has
and it's made for
slumped.
more people be able to make them in the first place. But I suppose that's a good question, because making it easier, does it make it better?
Well, it allows you to, and I'm guilty of this on my EP, where you do a bit that's not quite as good as you know you could do it, but because of time constraints, you go, right, well, I'll fix it. I'll fix it in the box, or fix it in the mix, whatever,
Old classic.
But if you do that enough times, the overall song probably does suffer, I think.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad I got to work a few times with a proper producer who pushes you. There's no shortcuts. There's no you're doing that, you do it again, do it again, do it again. And you just it's like pressure as well, because it costs a lot of money. You've only got a certain amount of time to do it, but you've got to be on your game.
Well, it's about capturing a good performance, isn't it?
Well,
he
was very good.
And if you just do a shit performance and then polish it,
especially by the third time we were there, he just knows he just knows the ins and outs of us, and he doesn't take any shit. No pretenses.
How many takes then, out of interest, did it take for you?
It got less the more times we were there. Like the first album was quite a lot for me to get the rhythms.
Yeah,
I needed to get.
You want to get them precise.
I'd never really done it at that level before, and when that red light goes on, and he's sat right next to you, and people, and there's other people in and out of the studio watching you.
Did you play to a click, or did you play to the drums that had been recorded? How did you find that then, out of interest?
Well, I'd done the demos to clicks.
Do you find it? Because I sometimes find I'll get a rhythm part down, and then I'll turn the click off, because the click somehow makes the performance feel more mechanical in your mind when you're doing it.
I had that, but his click is part of the drum kit.
Oh, so it was an organically sampled one. Right, nice.
A tom or a hi-hat or something just in the mix. It did sound a little bit out of place, but it was part of the drum kit.
So that works better, because then it doesn't feel jarring.
It doesn't sound separate from the mix and make you think of something outside of it.
Well, it just sounds artificial, doesn't it? Then you kind of
why is Steve doing that? Annoying.
You feel like you feel like you're just a robot doing a performance then, rather than a human being.
But I have become accustomed to, even if there is a click there, if the drums are there, just go to the drums, or if whatever music's there. Yeah. Especially if you know it inside out. The
rhythm underpins the
But when I come to do guitars, usually the drums and the bass are already done. Yeah. So it's quite easy to. But that first time was pretty. There was a point where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm good enough. I actually had to go out and have a moment and just have a coffee and just 10 minutes.
What was that? I always remember this bit you showed me on was it A Year in the Life of the Metallica thing, where Kirk is really struggling to do the solo for. I think it's for The Unforgiven. Maybe it's. I'm trying to think which song it's. One song off the Black Album, anyway. Yeah. And he's really buckling under the pressure, and then they just capture. Just that moment where he just
because Lars is pushing him and saying, you can do better than this. Have you not done your homework? What's going on? It's not like you. It's not very professional. And he just got really angry. And he just went and did this.
And then he channeled it all into the solo.
And he just got it all in one take. But that's the kind of thing. But it depends. You get pushed, and how do you cope under pressure? And especially when there's other people involved and there's other people relying on what you're doing.
But I suppose that's any creative process needs that. Because if it was all plain sailing, then you'd never probably go anywhere.
You wouldn't get the best out of you, I suppose.
Yeah, and you wouldn't progress as an artist.
Yeah, but do you prefer writing, recording wise, or performing?
It depends. At the moment, I'm really enjoying recording, But once I feel like I've got stuff that I want to perform, like there's something in me that feels like I need to perform this, then I'll be looking forward to performing. But at the moment, I feel like I've got so much stuff I need to just work through to get recorded.
Yes, but all you need is half an hour worth of material, and you can gig and you can do both.
See, I think I have a bit of an unhealthy relationship with technology in one sense, in that it's been very empowering to be able to create music, but because I've got quite an eclectic music taste and like experimenting with all wealth of sounds, it almost becomes like a prison sentence in a way, because you can't then just focus on one thing and doing that well. Whereas I suppose within the genre of metal music, yes, you've got and hard rock, you've got the ability to deviate a little bit and improvise things with time signatures and guitar tones and whatnot, but your kind of bread and butter, the staple stuff, is pretty set in stone as to what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then it allows you to maybe not worry about that as much and focus more on the creative aspect of the lyrics and what the song tone is and stuff. Whereas I'm still worrying about whether the kick drum sample I'm going to use is going to reflect what I want to say, and that is actually quite it can kill the process, because you end up just fucking about with stuff until Kingdom Come and never actually committing to anything.
Yeah. Well, the other side of it is, like, we like to try and get as many songs done, written, decided when they're finished before we go to record it, and play them live a bit.
Yeah.
Because you make tweaks when you play live. You get a different feel for it when you actually performed it, and you go, actually, didn't quite like that. Or someone might come up with something and you go, let's add that in. Like, you might do an accident.
Yeah, I agree.
But it was if we just wrote everything and went straight into the studio, and then you go, afterwards, you start adding all this stuff to it.
Well,
and you go, we could have done that. That should have been on the record.
I had that with a song. I think it was the last time I played live, because I've not played live for a little bit. It was earlier in this year. I played an old song from 2015, and I ended up sort of improvising the vocal melody a little bit as I was doing it live, in a way that I'd never sung it before, but it just stuck so much that every time I've thought back to the song now, I hear it in this new way that I just did off the cuff that one time. And part of me feels like I'd love to go back and re-record the song with that new variation. But then that's a really difficult thing, because I've really struggled in the past to ever re-record material and do it right compared to the old version, or do it in a way that is as good as the old one and better. I've always done it and it's been stronger in one aspect, but there's been part of it has been weaker than something that intangible that I can't actually recapture.
The other thing is, you pretty much work alone, so tough thing to say. When is this song done?
Yeah, I
being a perfectionist.
I try not to be a perfectionist too much these days, because I think that's
it used to lead you to never get anything done.
Yeah,
because you never knew that point of when is a song done. You think, oh, but what about this and what about this? Like, which is why I like to come up with ideas on my own, but I don't like to write songs by myself. I like to have someone say, no, that's done. Especially when if you work with people for a long period of time, you get to trust their decision, and you get to like a working dynamic, and you can say, if he thinks that song's done, then maybe it is. And then it's good to like then go and play it.
Yeah.
But if you've got a while before you have to go and record it, you can go and play it and think, yeah, it's done, or no, it needs something else. Or
knowing when to let go of stuff, I think, is very.
It's like your child, isn't it?
It's a very healthy thing to do. If you can't let go of stuff, or you have an unhealthy, if you have an inability to let go of stuff until it's you've overworked it, that it just kills it.
So how do you feel about the differences between working just by yourself, where you're responsible for everything, or working with somebody else?
Well, I'm a total control freak, so I do like being able to have everything.
Yeah.
If I don't like something, I can just change it. I don't have to run my decision past anybody else who might go, actually, no, I liked it the other way.
There's pros and cons to that, though, isn't there?
The chords on the second track on this Tren EP, you actually wrote the first 3 chords, and then
yes, I got a writing credit on this one.
remember you and me having this argument about the 4th and the 5th chords, and the version that's on my EP is my way. It's not your way.
That's your EP. You do what you want.
Yeah,
That sounds about
But
right.
I've always played it that way because when it goes to C minor, I was like, it has to resolve to the G, and you're like, no, it's going down to B minor. No, it fucking isn't.
We're gonna have to go back and get some of our old stuff sorted.
Yeah.
Finish those songs that we never got finished.
Yeah, well, you've got a wealth of my material that I've probably completely forgotten about.
Yeah, I've got it all on hard drive
somewhere in an
somewhere.
attic somewhere.
Yeah.
So
I used to siphon stuff off because you used to have a habit of deleting stuff.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore. I just put it up and don't listen to it.
You've deleted some great stuff.
Unless I want to get $50.
Because you might change your mind. Like, if you have time away from something and you come back to it, you come back with a completely different perspective. I do that a lot.
The way I try and look at it is if I've forgotten it, it wasn't that memorable to begin with. But then I don't know. I'd love to be proven wrong, and you have an absolute gem on your hands.
Or I'm find something that you've forgotten about and you still think's amazing.
Yeah,
that could happen.
The thing is, though, that again, it can also become an unhealthy thing with the creative process if you're forever living in the past and only, you know,
yeah,
you can't. Whenever you sit down, you're only looking to previous ideas or variations on those.
Well, that's why I tried to get, when we were like doing albums and stuff, try and get most of any older stuff out and get it released or get it committed to some sort of. Then you can't go back to it because it's been used.
Yeah.
So then you're only left with your new stuff. So.
This is why I've kind of decided not to trying not to re-record things now. If I have committed a version down, unless there's some real reason why I want to revisit that, just to leave it where it is and write a new song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, what do you use any streaming services yourself? For music?
Just Spotify. Just listen on Spotify. Really.
You're the person that.
Did I introduce you to Spotify?
Yeah, but like way before most people were using it. Like,
we're
talking
I had
2010, maybe 9.
No, it'd be 2008, I think.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I was. I think there was somebody who was an early adopter of it in Manchester that I knew that helped me up with it, and I thought this is incredible. This is finally. I actually, when I was at university, I actually wrote my thesis on how is the music industry going to deal with illegal piracy and what can they do, and I essentially wrote the Spotify model in this because it needs something like this because the only way people are going to stop pirating is if it's easier to do it legally.
It's not too expensive and it's accessible.
When back in the day, the music labels were so paranoid about everything, they'd wrap all of the music up in ridiculous like copy protection, DRM nonsense and you couldn't get to the music, and it was trying to be a legitimate consumer was actually harder, and you were punished more than if you just went on Napster and just got the MP3 like that, and then you could listen to it.
That's the record labels not getting their shit together.
Yeah, but with the Spotify model, now that the labels are on board and
because I used the free version for a good few years, and then they introduced the offline mode where you can download stuff at home on your Wi-Fi and then just take it away with you.
Download them. Yeah, it's they know what they're doing. Spotify, I think.
And they got in there first, as far as the major, apart from iTunes, but it seems
it's a different thing now. I know there's that Apple Music now, isn't there, which is a streaming thing.
Yeah, it's kind of rebranded. That's iTunes.
It's just iTunes.
It's rebranded, Like the podcast, on iPhones, they had a built-in podcast app. They've called that Apple Podcast. So everything's Apple. Well, Apple this, Apple that.
I don't understand
the model
with iTunes why it's still called iTunes when you buy loads of stuff on there that isn't tunes.
Like movies and stuff.
Yeah, it seems like it's
why? Because it's called iTunes.
Yeah, and you buy iPhone apps through the iTunes
but
store.
It's like what Amazon started selling books, but doesn't sell books anymore. It's just a name, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose.
It started off just selling tunes, and it's expanded.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
You can't change your brand.
I suppose. Well, you just go with a new one.
Just go with a new one. That's brilliant. Can we just stop a minute? I've got a really weird. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I had that.
Can you hear it?
That's why
I was just working through like a pro.
It's really put me off. Do you know what it is? It's just suddenly come on.
Is that what you've got?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just pretending like it wasn't there.
I don't know.
I need another cup of tea anyway.
Is it gone now?
Oh.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Yeah. See, we're okay.
Okay.
We're all
It's
fine.
just really.
Yeah, it was irritating me.
How long have we done so far?
Half an hour.
Can I get a cup of tea?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
This is the official first break we've ever taken in an episode.
Oh, we're allowed to do this?
Well, there's no rules. I'll just edit this bit out.
Just edit this bit out.
Are we still recording?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
We'll just go right through.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I'll do you another brew then.
Nice one, man.
Brewski. Okay.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Exactly the same as that one. It's perfect.
Cool. Do you remember where we left off?
We were talking about music. So what kind of music are you into then, man?
Metal,
You a metal fan?
Yeah, proper metal fan.
Who's your favourite metal artist?
I don't really have a favourite.
You don't have a favourite?
No, not really. It used to be Annihilator, but over the past few years I've just kind of grown out of them.
Yeah. So do you like it? What kind of? Because there's so many subgenres of metal. I don't really know.
Well,
What kind of vocal? I normally use the vocals as a way to decide what kind of metal it is. Do you like the really shouty, screamy, or do you like the?
I love that.
Do you like the
I don't
melodic
mind-
singing
I don't
as well?
mind singing
Yeah.
either. I like different types of music, but yeah, my main thing is maybe this shouty, screamy stuff.
Yeah.
I like Lamb of God.
Oh my
Machine
God.
Head,
Yeah.
Trivium, Disturbed. Yeah,
What's that German band?
Rammstein.
Do you like them?
Yeah, I like them. I'm not a massive fan, but yeah, they are good. I saw them
I've
live.
always heard that they'd put an amazing show.
Yeah, well, I saw
Yeah.
them at Download last year. I had to go and see them. I had to be on the barrier.
Yeah.
I was at the barrier to see Killswitch Engage earlier that day.
Yeah.
They're one of my favourite bands.
Yeah.
And I was going to go off and see another band and then come back to the main stage to catch Rammstein.
Right.
Korn were on before them, and I wasn't so fussed about them. But where I was almost on the front barrier, and I'm like, I can't give this up. This Rammstein show is going to be amazing.
Oof.
So I stuck it out, and I had to watch Baby Metal.
Baby. Oh, I've heard of this baby metal. Yeah. Are Korn still called new metal?
Well, it's not really new anymore.
No, that's what I was going to say. It's still actually called a new.
That's just the genre. It's like grunge is still.
So if there was another metal that came along, what would they call it? New metal?
Well, the latest metal that I think is like Gent.
Gent.
Yeah.
Degent, or whatever it's called.
It's called Gent.
I've never
It's
even heard of
like
that.
7 and 8 string guitars, and it's just like lots of chugging. It's like
Right.
And weird time signatures.
Ah, right.
I'm not a fan.
I like it.
So we're talking about streaming services.
Yeah. Yeah, Spotify is it's a great product. It's really good for finding new songs and
Yeah, because they've had like some rough times over the years where they nearly went out of business a few times. I remember seeing them in the news.
I think it was just the viability of it, and I think it's proven itself as a viable business model now because the market is, consumers have dictated that this is how they want to consume music now.
The consumers tell you how however they consume it, whether illegal or otherwise, make it so they can do it easily, legally.
That's it.
And then you'll be all right. But the only thing that needs to be sorted out now is how much the artists get paid. Because the whole platform is built off the artists.
Yeah.
Without the artists, there wouldn't be a platform.
No, that's a good point. I don't know whether I wonder with Spotify because in a way they have actually sort of stopped innovating a bit now.
But the numbers the paid subscribers are just going up and up and up.
Yeah.
So the money is there, and they still get advertising. The free versions have advertising in it, so they're still getting a lot of that. So the everyone's making more money except the artist.
Yeah.
At some point, they've got to increase because they're at the bottom of the pile. Everyone gets paid out from all the streams, the revenue. The artist is at the bottom percentage-wise. That's been proven, which doesn't make sense to me.
You can get your stuff on Spotify and get 100% royalties though.
Can you?
Yeah.
I suppose independently.
I get
Yeah.
I get with the publishing system I use, I get 85% royalties
Right.
through Spotify, but I don't have to pay anything for that.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's a
Yeah,
free
yeah.
that's a free listing.
I suppose if you're not paying for the service in the first place, then it makes sense that you don't get.
Yeah.
They take a cut because
Which is why, going back to that thing I said about Lady Gaga, I couldn't understand how she was getting nothing. So she must have had a really, really bad contract with her record label, where somehow the clause said, for streaming stuff, we will give you 0.0001% of fuck all.
Yeah.
And she probably went, yeah.
Makes no difference to me.
But then, there's a lot of money gets invested into her through her, her whole bullshit parade, really, doesn't she? In terms of all of the showbiz side of it. I mean, that doesn't all come out of her pocket. A lot of what she does is probably paid for by.
But artists at that level doesn't matter because they make so much money when they tour. It's
Yeah.
all about the tour now.
Yeah.
The streaming side of it and the albums
Yeah.
is a byproduct of.
And she had to cancel
tour.
the tour because of she had some sort of terrible illness or something.
Oh yeah. But at that level, the artists make so much money on tours now because the ticket prices are so high.
Yeah.
But that's just a byproduct of there being no album sales. That revenue was lost when album sales went out streaming, so it's just been added to the tour side of it. So
Did you see there was something in the news about some ticket tout it's because of the Paradise Papers leak, that whole thing that's been some offshore tax thing in the Isle of Man, But this guy had managed to buy shitloads of tickets and managed to then sell them on
like secondary sites.
yeah, extortion. I don't understand how they don't know how he was able to do that. He must have had some way of
Must have some insider knowledge or something.
some way of crazy stuff.
There's loads of stuff like that.
But then I mean, are tickets too expensive now for what people get at a show?
Some would argue yes, but if they sell out, then isn't that the right price? I paid 90 odd quid to see Metallica recently.
Supply and demand.
And they all sold out. Guns N' Roses, they all sold out. AC/DC all sold out, and they're all around 100 quid price. I think that's just the price for stadium shows these days, or arena shows. Who says what's the right price? If it was only half full, then maybe it's the wrong price. But if they sell out,
Yeah.
who can argue that's the wrong price?
Well, yeah, true. Market
But-
forces.
Are the ticket prices only that high because they can't rely on album sales anymore? Is that part of it? Why it's so high?
That is a good question.
Because
It'd be interesting to know where if the revenue now is far more from that than.
or does it balance out? They've increased the ticket prices up. But if you think those artists at that level, how much taking away album sales, how much lost revenue is that? Like, which is why I suppose it puts a lot more pressure on touring now. That's the only in merchandise.
Why? Because most people just consume the latest Ed Sheeran album through streaming. They don't actually buy it.
Well, your main goal as an artist, if you want to not even prosper, but just to survive, is to be good enough, not just musically, but on social media, to persuade people to pay their money to come and see you play.
Yeah.
Because they can just get your music not for nothing. Even on Spotify, you're not going to get much for it, and anyone can get it on Spotify. But for them to get out, spend their own money,
and come and see you,
take time out of work or whatever, have a weekend, and decide I'm going to see this artist. That is your main goal these days if you want to survive.
Yeah.
So, which is totally different. It used to be if you could get an album deal.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
But that's because
it used to, I always say, it used to be the tour to support the album. Now it's the album to support the tour.
Yeah. No,
I
suppose it's because the album doesn't really require as much money as it used to.
Still quite expensive though.
It can still be expensive, but artists can do it themselves.
You could
far
argue
more
that there's
easily
not much
than they used to be
difference,
able to.
but you're not going to get recouped on it through sales of the album. So it could still cost you 500 grand to record an album. 20 years ago, we'll just recoup that on the sales in a year. Those sales we generate from touring in certain towns, they then go and buy the album. That doesn't happen anymore.
Do you think it's right that they changed the rules and the charts so that all the streams count towards?
Yeah, because more
positioning?
people. Well, nobody's buying physical copies anymore. So where else are you going to go? It's all on streams now.
But
it's overtaken it.
But
it's not just streams though. It's people buy physical, digital downloads from iTunes, but it's streams is the number one now. People just stream. You pay for your IV service and they count streams.
See, I think that's quite a sad loss, really. But maybe that's just because I'm.
In what way?
Old-fashioned. Well, I was quite glad to see that that new Liam Gallagher album had broke vinyl records and people were buying a physical item because it meant something, and that really is what records used to be about. And I suppose that's what's been lost in this easy come, easy go. Stream this, stream that. No, I've not
MP3,
actually spent any.
There's no connection. There's no connection to the artist. It's just a digital download with a little picture.
But I've actually come full circle now, and I'm almost talking to myself in a way that says that the record label sticking their heads in the sand back in the day and wanting it to go away, in some ways, was trying to preserve something that was worth preserving, and maybe all of this.
The way to preserve it.
But that wasn't what. But I know that's not what they were actually trying to do. They were trying to just save their revenue streams.
I find it hard to believe that those record companies didn't have the right sort of advice from industry people to say.
They probably did. There was probably people within them screaming that they needed to do something, but.
I just remember
it's very hard for big business once it's entrenched in a certain way of thinking to change its mind. It's very hard. You never see that very much.
As soon as your profits start going
down. well, then they have to. Then it's a knee-jerk thing.
But I think by the time they thought about it, it's too late.
Yeah, but they weren't at that point. It wasn't quite. Those that could see it and those that were aware of what Silicon Valley was doing and what was happening, what was coming out of technology, could see it. But I bet the suits that were within the music companies, they couldn't see it because they didn't know. They probably didn't even have. Well, I mean, this is pre-smartphone. This is pre-people being very, very digitally connected in that way.
Yeah. If you think the record companies aren't involved, they still haven't actually done anything. All they've done is invest in whatever streaming services.
Well, yeah, they've not invented.
Became of it.
Yeah,
so
they've not.
It's
really...
kind of like, I suppose they couldn't because it had already been done. Somebody had already got in there.
Yeah, but they are. Yeah, they're putting all their interests into big shows that are very well promoted, and I mean, these shows always sell out, don't they? And the fact that these ticket touts even exist and that there's such a secondary market, and everything, it shows there's such high demand for people to go and see these big shows.
And that's where 360 deals came from.
What's 360? I've not heard of 360 deals.
Have you not?
No. What's
a 360 deal is where if you sign with a record label, they say, right, we're going to take a percentage of every income you have, every single, not just your album or your ticket sales. If you get a sponsorship with, I don't know, iTunes,
right. Yeah.
we get a percentage of that. If whatever you sell on merchandise that night, we get a percentage of that. That's a byproduct, I think, of streaming coming in, and they're not getting album sales anymore.
Right.
They have to look to the artist and say, right, we want a piece of everything.
So 360 degrees ownership of
the
your
whole
world.
pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you think of that then?
I don't like it. I can see where it's come from though, because the record companies, if they're looking after you, they want to make some money, and there's no record sales to make money off anymore. So that leaves ticket sales on its own, which isn't not going to be that much. So what else is there? There's like your merchandise, and anything else that you have.
Yeah. Any other
Like
deals
I suppose YouTube bands, the bigger artists make a lot of YouTube streams and all that, so they'll get a percentage of that. But at the same time, I don't know what you get. If you're saying if you're at the top level, I don't know what you get in return. If they get a percentage of everything you do, but do they just pay for everything?
Assume so. Well, I mean, you're essentially an employee, aren't you, of theirs? Yeah. And you're a puppet, really, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
but the other side of the coin is now with streaming and everything being online, is if an artist gets to a certain level where they've got a huge following, they can just do it by themselves. They can put out their own videos online. They know how to do that. They can promote their own shows. They can sell their own merchandise. Why should anybody else get a? Because of the way the record companies work now is they don't take chances. They don't. They don't have A&R people anymore going to gigs and saying who's doing what. They just wait until an artist pops up on their radar and goes, right, they've sold out. They've got the new album.
I don't think every band can do that though. Like certainly bands and artists that are more popular and have probably had the guidance of their record label in terms of what their image should be, who they should work with as co-writers, all of that stuff. When it's a real, machination that's it's not really artistry in that sense. It's pretty much commerce masquerading as artistry. Yeah, true. Those people, I think it's a real struggle for them if they get off that travelator to then be able to be self-sufficient, because I don't think I think their kind of fan bases are quite fleeting as well, because I think that the kind of people that get into that music are consumers in the purest sense, that they very much have bought into this entire package, and when that package becomes split off, it's not. I would almost say, in what sounds quite a snobby way, that they're probably not really music fans as such. They're a fan of the product that is Beyonce or whatever.
Yeah. I think it varies on genre, though.
Yeah.
I think you like your more live bands and stuff like that. Rock and heavy metal, if you build those kind of fan bases are what you can build an audience on by yourself. Yeah. I think you could live off, which is where some bands when they start out they maybe need some help. They could need some financial help, but if you've got a strong following, I suppose you could get to the point where you think we could do this on our own. I
suppose it depends how deeply you can appreciate that people have found your music to resonate with them. If your music really means something to people, then they will want to continue to follow what you're doing. Whereas
I just don't think there's that much money to be made if you're giving away money for everything you make. A lot of it's going to somebody else. Whereas you have the potential to make. If you might end up making less, but because you get 100% of it, it's more, if you know what I mean.
I would probably say the music industry reflects a wider trend within society where those that are making money are able to make more money, whereas those that haven't got onto that are probably, it becomes harder. But then there's technology that allows you to do more. But it's...
And I wonder how many people are taking it seriously business-wise these days versus many years ago when it was just about making music and having fun.
Yeah.
Because
I'd have given up hope that we're going to see another band like Oasis or something in my lifetime, where there's a real proper band that, regardless of the bullshit the music industry has still made it big without compromising who they are and what they do. Yeah. I just don't think we'll see that now, because it just seems like everything's become pretty rigid, and which I think is really sad. But
yeah, people keep saying there's no real stars anymore. There's no rock and roll stars. There's no icons.
No,
they're all
they're manufactured. If they are, they're not.
A lot of the top level ones are, but I don't know what's going to change. What's going to be considered the top level once because the last bands that are at the top level now most of them became famous in a way that doesn't exist anymore.
I don't know. If you want to get all dystopian, you could say that eventually the real hard-hitting artistic music of today will eventually become contraband because it's too it encourages dangerous thoughts.
What I mean is, once we're only left with artists that are formed after the internet in the digital world without album sales, will that affect? Will you get stadium bands? Will you get arena tours? Will there be as much money?
I think it depends how ambitious that band is, and I still think that can happen. It's just whether they'll have to compromise to get there, and it depends if their ultimate aim is we want to play stadiums. If maybe it becomes too difficult for them to achieve that without in some way compromising what it is, or maybe everything just is. Maybe there's just a slickness now that won't ever go away. You're not going to get that rough and readiness anymore. Whereas things felt a lot more like. I think as well because everything is so polished now and everything's so digital and everything's so high production values. That's kind of seeped into everything that happens in culture now.
Yeah.
So you won't like to go back again to Oasis. You won't get just 5 lads just getting up, having it, and rocking out and not giving a fuck about how they're dressed or what, or well, obviously they want to look cool, but not like in a way that's like, well, we'll do some peer research and see how we fit the right demographics and all that nonsense.
You can tell whether they're authentic.
Yeah, because they're just doing it for them. They're not doing it for anybody else, and that's real.
Yeah, like back in the day when you remember like Shaun Ryder going on TFI Friday and swearing after being not asked to swear many times, brilliant. Then going on again next year and doing the same thing. Like most artists now, you would never dare do that.
I think the 90s was, I think at the time I didn't realise it because I was quite young, but it was quite a important decade really in terms of British culture, and I don't know if
it's very transitional.
British culture's really been in as good a place since. Really, I mean, the Bean Council say yes, it is because we've got Adele and we've got this massive, we've got Coldplay, whatever, we've got worldwide massive this, that, and the other, but culture isn't just about how many people you can get your record in front of. I would say it's about whether you actually are helping to shape the way that people.
Yeah, are you forming like part of the culture? Are you like connecting with people on a real level rather than just
Or are you changing? Are you changing people's minds? Are you opening people's eyes to a different way of thinking? Maybe. Whereas there's a lot about modern culture. I feel like it just wants things to stay the same. It just wants people to. People don't go to a concert and come away going, "Wow, I see the world in a different way." They just go, "Wow, I look at all the wonderful fireworks that I saw." That's it.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. Yeah, but it's like the genres that have gone past, like when the early '80s with thrash, and if you look at like lyrically as well, it was all about rebelling and it related to how people really felt. Whereas you don't get as much of that these days, I don't think. Like especially in pop music, it's very, I don't know, in the middle of the road, especially lyrically. Like you keep seeing the memes all the time. When you compare newer songs to older songs.
Yeah, newer songs is shit. Mostly.
Does that mean that that audience doesn't care about lyrics?
Maybe.
Like, it's always in the club or, on a Saturday night.
Well, maybe it is part of a wider reflection of people's values, and they don't really. They're not looking to music to nourish their soul.
At the end of the day, it's pop. It's popular music.
They want some nice sugary wallpaper to make them feel like they belong. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know if your average pop listener is. Do they take the music that seriously? Is it just?
No, I don't think they do. I don't even think it is. It's not actually about music most of the time. It's about
the imagery and that comes with it and stuff.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it's like they see the videos and stuff.
Music's a very powerful thing when you actually think about what music can do to the brain, and the capacity it has to
evoke emotion.
To evoke emotion and to
or transport you back 20 years.
To any number of things, and does a lot of music, really modern music that even is quite commercially viable, fall very short of actually achieving anything remotely near that? I could say probably yes.
We've talked about this recently about, do you ever listen to music whilst not doing anything else?
Yeah, I try and find time to do that, but I don't. I think it's something that's kind of got lost. Because people used to just sit down in a room and put a record on, and there was nothing else to do. They weren't in between that record. I'll check my email. I'll check my phone. The record got their undivided attention.
Life was a lot simpler.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe there's just a nostalgia for a time when things were
It's just the
music
way-
mattered more. Maybe it doesn't matter as much.
I think that's got a lot to do with it. I don't think music is a high priority for most people as it used to be.
I'll tell you what annoys me the most.
Music
Actually,
has almost become background.
I'm going to get on my soapbox now.
Do it.
Does my
Got a
head
soapbox?
in.
What's that?
Have you got a soapbox somewhere for him to stand on?
Supermarkets, supermarket music, shop music.
Oh God!
Turn it off.
Yeah.
Stop polluting.
And half the time it's like ripped off rehashes
Yeah.
of original songs or covers.
Yeah.
It's cheaper for them to hire cover people.
I find it really distracting, but maybe that's the idea. Maybe it's supposed to lull you into a dream so that you buy more stuff.
Right.
But I find I just end up listening to see what crappy chord progression they've used or whatever.
Or how poorly the lyrics match up to the original, or the vocal performance is just.
I
Like,
tell you
so
what
generic.
though, B&M Bargains, where do they get their music from? Who are these people making this lo-fi, badly written,
So it's not even something you
terrible
recognise.
production value stuff? Whenever I go in there, it makes me feel really good about my music. I'm like, actually, I'm not that bad a producer. This stuff is shit.
And they would have paid for this.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just. I just keep thinking back to years ago. Like, yeah, music was much a higher priority, not just in my life, but in most people's life, where you would just listen to that on its own. It wouldn't be like, I'm listening to it. Obviously, while you're driving, it's different. But like, just putting around the house, putting it on. I used to like lie on my bed,
Yeah.
Headphones
Music
on.
with the lights out. Yeah.
look at the artwork, read
Yeah,
the lyrics.
Yeah. Well,
Absorb
even
it.
the move from vinyl to CD, something was lost because you get this compact little
Yeah.
inlay sleeve and everything.
Well, I used to lie and absorb the music and the lyrics, which is how the artist intended it.
yeah.
Now, you don't have to do what the artist intended. People can just go. I only want that one song.
I just have that one song. There's no album. I don't care about the album. I just want the one song.
Yeah, or they might even not even see
Mm.
the artwork. Might be a small picture. They never really take it in.
Mm.
They're not bothered.
No.
That's never happened before. If you think how much have changed, not just in music but in culture in the last 20 years since the internet.
Well, it's the internet that's changed everything, hasn't it?
It keeps coming back. It keeps coming
Yeah.
up as a topic of how much it's changed everything. Some things for the good, sometimes not so good.
Well, most of my EPs is quite down on things. It's probably quite a depressing EP. I'm not selling it very well here, but the final song on that in particular takes a very negative outlook on what it is that technology is in so much that it feels like technology has offered us so much more and a wealth of opportunity and a gateway to all of these different worlds, but actually really it probably hasn't, because Silicon Valley is kind of really using us as guinea pigs in a whole, or lab rats or whatever, in some really big thing that is now intrinsically tied into their monetary value. So it's not really about culture anymore. It becomes just echo chambers and
Guinea pig, that's a good term.
yeah.
But I don't know.
Sorry, this is probably one of the least lively.
Oh, that's good.
We should talk about the positives then, anyway. So music.
But can people read the lyrics? Are the lyrics available if they wanted to?
I'll have to put them. I'll put them on the Bandcamp so they're there by the time
'cause
this
I
goes
think
out.
you can do that, can't
yeah,
you?
I can do that if people want to read my
'Cause it's
attempts at
interesting.
lyrics.
But so what are some of the other songs? What are the themes and where they come from?
There's a theme of self-help in terms of making sure that if there's aspects of your life where, if you're being truly honest with yourself, are damaging, and there's this again does kind of capture the digital side of it, because I think all of us in some ways are totally enslaved by digital devices, whether we're
Absolutely.
being honest with ourselves or not. Trying to redefine that relationship in your terms, and it becomes very difficult when everybody's doing it and you feel like you need to be on the device or be in that world to interact with people.
Yeah.
So there's an aspect of that in one of the songs, trying to be positive about not letting those things imprison you. And then there is the song that you wrote some of those chords
Yeah.
for, which is my attempt at doing a rap on it, with a bit of singing on it. Yeah, it's quite doom and gloom, really, actually, thinking about it. I probably should try and do something a bit more positive next time.
That's the next one.
Yeah, but I felt like I needed to do it because it's kind of things I've had floating around, so it was
Well, you
quite
purge,
it was
don't you?
quite cathartic for me to do it, and so
As an artist, that's your right. That's what
Yeah.
it's for.
But then some of the most uplifting records I've ever listened to intently are ones where there is actually quite a downbeat tone.
Yeah.
But I find it quite uplifting that somebody is saying these things and I can relate to it, and I don't feel... Because if we just had an incessantly happy culture and joyful culture all the time, and some of modern pop music can be a little bit like that, or with a sort of undertone of hypersexuality normally, that it actually can almost feel quite oppressive in and of itself, whereas if somebody's being miserable, that can actually be quite a joyful expression in a bizarre way, because you kind of go, well, actually, yeah, things are a bit fucked, aren't they? And thank God somebody's singing about this, because it'd be very easy just to kind of pretend like everything was all right all the time.
Yeah.
But that's probably my teenage years of listening to Radiohead coming out, probably.
It's got to come out at some point, isn't it? So have you already started thinking about the next one?
I've set myself a challenge of a 3-track instrumental EP next, with no lyrics, because I like the idea of trying to say as much as possible without any words.
That's a challenge.
There's a running theme with each of the projects I do where I set myself a clear mission statement, if you will.
Yeah.
That sounds wanky, but you know what I mean. And I don't allow myself to deviate from that, even if throughout there's things I feel like I want to do. I find a way to make that work within those constraints, and that has been the greatest creative freedom. It sounds almost paradoxical to find freedom through limitations, but that works for me.
Until you try it, you would never know.
It works for me just to say, right, this is about this. This is what I'm going to do with it, and then I always try and push the boundaries in ways I can, but I have to stay firm. But it keeps it exciting, because it makes it... One of the things I find I really like, and we were talking about computer games earlier, is the older computer game music.
Ah, yeah.
Because those composers were working against real technical limitations to get music coming out of a Commodore 64 or Amiga with limited memory and stuff, and they wrote some amazing compositions that were really catchy and did really clever things with very lo-fi
People have
technology.
remade them now, haven't they? With instruments.
So that had quite an impact on me. And so in a way, what I do with these limitations is sort of partly trying to replicate that, where they didn't have all of the memory in the world, and as many channels as they wanted, so they had to make it work within those limitations, and that actually created some amazing music out of it.
Still managed it.
So
I remember recording Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah.
I can't remember how I hooked it up, but I used to record the music onto a cassette, and then I listened to it on my Sony Walkman.
They were great stuff. The Mega Drive had a fantastic... It sounds a lot like a DX7, actually. It's like a Yamaha style frequency modulation, but yeah, great stuff. Sonic the Hedgehog, superb music on that. Starlight Zone, stuff like that. Just amazing. Yeah, just great melodies. And if you actually listen to them because they're all on YouTube, aren't they? If you listen to them, they're quite short little bits of music that just loop over and over again, but they're so well written that you don't tire of them, because they've got a really good A bit and a really good B bit and a C bit that builds somewhere, and then back to the A, but it just works on loop.
So if you're doing instrumental for your next one, that's tough.
Yeah.
Because people have instrumental tracks on an album, but to do something for that long that doesn't have lyrics, because a lot of people focus on the lyrics. It's usually the hook or the catchy point, but to get... Say it was like 6 minutes long. For someone to get through 6 minutes of music, just music, not get bored or not think something, just enjoy it.
One of the things
journey,
I probably will end up doing, which I have done previously, and I'm again going back to these an idea of limitations and then working through it, is if I've got ideas that I want in lyric form, but I've set myself the goal that this isn't going to have lyrics in, I'll sing the lyrics, as it were, but with the keyboard. So I'll play a melody that is the words, but I'm not allowed...
You just leave it as the melody.
Yeah, just leave it as the melody. And when I listen back to it, I can hear the words that I'm playing, but no one will know what they are.
See, as a bonus, you can say, well, here's the words that would have been in there.
I could do that.
People could sing it themselves.
I stole that idea off... I think I saw a documentary about a jazz musician called Tren, and he did that. He wrote poetry and then... Called Tren.
Oh, right, yeah.
So... it isn't my idea, that I just ripped it off and then implemented it with
well, that's tough
skill.
Restrictions to have.
Yeah, but it's fun. That's where
Do you feel you need restrictions in order to do something?
If you're
unrestricted,
this is why I've invented
this.
You
get lost.
Yeah, because I just sit down and it's like there's too many things I can do.
That's why whenever I write songs, I always have I have to give it before I get to the lyrics. Anyway, I have to have a title.
Yeah,
otherwise,
title helps.
I don't know.
I can write little snippets of melodies without any kind of titles, but then for it to start to take shape, it needs a title, or it needs an idea, or it needs something that. Right, so what's the purpose of this? Why have I brought this song into existence, or this track into existence?
And I can sometimes rewrite the lyrics because going back to the title, does it tie into the title? It's like, no. Well, why have you written it then?
Yeah, well, exactly. What purpose does it have? Yeah.
So I sometimes have like I've gone through it, rewritten it 4 times.
Yeah.
To eventually get to where it ends up. Sometimes, like on demos, the lyrics are completely different.
Yeah, but that's part of the fun. That's part of the fun of the creative process.
Part of the fun. I like the pressure. I like the pressure of, like, it gets to the business end. We've only got a few months till we go in the studio, and I've only got out of 9 songs, I've only got 2 songs that are done lyric wise.
Yeah, no, that's a challenge. Yeah.
But I've got. Luckily, by then I'll give them all titles, so I know that I'm going to be able to do it. It's just.
Well, if you've got the title, then you can work out how to find an idea to hang on. Do
you do this? If you've got like a huge list of potential song titles and little snippets of lyrics.
I actually used to do that, and then I had to stop doing that because I found that it didn't work as a way to start things. I just would have loads of stuff, and then I'd sit down and I'd be like, oh, and I'd look through this big list, and I'd be like, oh, maybe I'll do that one. No, maybe I'll do that one. And it didn't work, so I stopped kind of doing that.
Usually, by the time it comes to lyrics, our song's pretty much almost done. So it's like I just look at what word would work as a song title, and if I've already got the song title, then if I've written? Sometimes I write a line, something that I've read or heard someone say. All right, does that fit with that? Does that fit with that? And then I just.
No, that's good.
That gives me some little thread to go from.
Yeah, keeping like a kind of a swipe list of ideas and other things, and just because that's as a creative individual, that's all you're really doing is feeding off other things around you and then putting your stamp on it.
Yeah, I remember because our last EP, Destruction Complete, came from a game called Farquhar 4. It was.
Oh, really? All right.
Farquhar Primal.
Yeah. And
you destroy like a village, and it's just.
Oh, and it says Destruction Complete.
Destruction Complete, and I was like, I like that, and then I started to think about it. What other permutations could you have of that? And it's just like, well, the Earth.
Yeah.
That's where that led me down a whole other path. So it's good how
I like the artwork for that EP. I thought that was great.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah. It's our sponsor, Very Metal Art.
Oh, right. I've not been paid to say that. Just.
Go to verymetal.co.uk. Nah, but it's just if you look at all the other work that they do, it's just like.
That was actually something I was thinking about. If we go back onto lyrics and stuff, was at some point getting one of these lyric videos done for a song. Because I quite like that. That's quite a modern. It's something that never really existed before. You would never get a lyric video on MTV2 or something back in the day, would you?
Whereas have to be a full concept.
Yeah, but now
video.
On YouTube, it works quite well.
It's also another revenue stream.
Yeah.
If you have a good song with a good video, and it goes viral.
Yeah. I never really see. This is probably where I'm going wrong. I never really ever think about it in terms of revenue. Like to me, it would be like, well, that'd be a better way for people to understand the song.
Well, you need to do both. If you if you truly wanted to be able to say, I'd love to be able to just make a living, just do music and nothing else.
Yeah.
If you truly really want that to happen, you have to think about things like that. You
have to think about
because without album sales, you've got to be a bit more think outside the box. So how am I going to make money? And if you have a lot of songs, a huge back catalogue, and it's all out there, and you've got videos for this and that, and it's on all the platforms, then you can make money.
Actually got. There is a. I said I've got these 4 remaining projects. One of those actually is an attempt at doing something purely commercial.
Okay.
And that is Spotify's curated playlists. If you go on Spotify, they've got like the peaceful piano, chill out, whatever.
You can make some money.
And I had a look at some of those, and there's some just little kind of 2-minute, 3-minute piano pieces that nothing special, but they've got so many millions of streams because Spotify has included them on those lists.
Yeah.
So if I was able to somehow get one of my tracks on one of those playlists,
exactly,
with an 85%
royalties,
I would get a tidy amount of money there. So I am going to try something like that where I just purely do piano and strings, just very kind of, it's almost background stuff, because I think that
a bit like soundtracks.
Yeah, stuff that people can put on in the background and work to, because I think there's a lot of people do listen to Spotify at work when they're in offices and things, when they're doing their jobs and they need to be able to just focus on what they're doing. So I'm going to try and do that, and that's probably going to be the first time I've really tried to do something where I'm not really doing it for the artistic expression. I'm going to do it because I want to see if it will make some money. And then I'm going to probably try and find some Spotify email addresses and harass people in there and say, listen to this, put this on your playlist, please. Because no one knows who... I think Spotify's quite secret about how they do those and who it is within their company that...
Oh, it's very... Yeah, you never...
that creates these lists. But they've got such power, really. Because you could go from... You could almost become a bona fide artist overnight if that track just makes it into that list, and then there you go.
Like YouTube stars.
Yeah.
People have just stars from YouTube,
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah.
But it's like, music like spas and all those sort of places, the background music,
Yeah.
massage parlours.
Yeah, as much as I was dissing background music before, but yeah, if it's the right kind of background music, I think that would work nice actually in shops if there was music where it was just ambient, it was just pleasant, it was just friendly music rather than it being... I don't mind the older pop. I don't mind the older pop records. Like I always like it if I'm in the shops and George Harrison's Got My Mind Set on You comes on or something like that. I don't mind. That's a great song.
Authentic music from back then, though.
Yeah, but like half the modern stuff, all I can hear is just really how well auto-tuned the voice is over them.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
That's just the way it is.
yeah.
But that's good luck with that. I mean,
Well, yeah, we'll see.
but
So I'll get my lyrics anyway on the Bandcamp if
you should definitely do that.
Yeah.
But I
if
mean,
people want to be depressed about the world.
yeah, but you should definitely look into doing the music videos, the lyric videos.
Yeah.
That's definitely because it's you don't even have to like take Radiohead for example.
Yeah.
They've done some good videos.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to actually be about what the lyrics are about.
No, it doesn't.
They're
no.
completely
Yeah, it can
different.
create something.
Because
a
good
different
lyrics
mood.
can have many meanings. Can't
Yeah,
they?
true.
Which I think you don't find out until other people have them.
Yeah, you probably. I think the best videos are the ones where there's an ambiguity to it. If it's too
Specific.
yeah,
Or
kinda,
obvious.
Yeah, it kind of can lose a little bit of artistic.
I don't know what pop. Some of the pop stuff is almost. They manage to say something without actually saying anything.
Yeah,
They have a topic, but they never actually. I don't know. They sort of skirt around an issue without actually.
there is no.
making a point.
There's no storytelling in modern music. Actually, I don't know if you've ever noticed that. Now it's all just an emotion, and then sort of going around, taking you through the journey of that emotion in a way, with using the hype levels of a chorus to make you feel more emotion, and then but
Yeah.
there's no actual real story. They don't really take you anywhere. I don't think with modern.
Yeah.
Modern lyrics don't really ever tell a story. I don't
Because
think.
usually they're written by a specific group of songwriters
Yeah.
who write most of the
Yeah, well,
songs
it's
in
all
the charts.
it's homogenized, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's not. So it's not a soul. It's not one person's point
No.
of view. They're like
It's not one person's
it's
take
very
of the world.
formulaic and like
Yeah.
what feeling do I want to convey in this song? It's not
Yeah.
what has this artist got to say. It's like what song do we want to write about? What subject do we want to write about? It's like,
Yeah.
it's like a tried and tested.
See, I think within music, artists should act more like producers do in the film industry. They should almost it should be their vision more.
Yeah.
But it seems like they don't have bizarrely, they don't actually have as much artistic license, even though they're called
No.
artists. And
Well, you get a lot of the ones who come through, and their first album's brilliant because it was all written by them
Yeah.
when they were first coming to the
Yeah,
scene.
and then they get
before
they get
then they
shaped
They,
and-
get Hollywoodized.
Yeah, yeah.
and it's there.
Yeah.
Like it happened with Pink.
she's got a new album out now, hasn't she? I saw an advert for it the other
yeah.
day.
When they tried, I think one of her songs was about that. I can't remember which one it was, but they tried to make her dress a certain way. And,
Yeah.
like, write songs about a certain thing.
I can't imagine that sitting well with her because
Well, it didn't. That's why
her whole image is one
exactly.
of defiance.
That's why
and-
she ended up being herself, which
Yeah.
is what sold more records rather than this trying to be
Yeah.
pigeonholed into this. I don't get it. Like,
it's
they don't seem
it's
to
safety.
realise
It's
that-
a safety thing. It's like everybody. When you get to that level of business, they have to be able to show that they've factored in risk, and they have to be, and then they end up not taking any risk because then it looks too dangerous. So they just go with a safe option.
But they don't seem to realise there's there's a huge selling point in authenticity,
Yeah.
not like generic stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This cookie cutter kind of like
Yeah.
they just put off a production line rather than themselves.
Yeah. I think because I don't know. I bet there's a lot of people that work quite high up in the music industry that don't even actually like music. They just
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just like
Yeah.
money. They just love money. That's
Well,
it.
that's the business side of it, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
It's a business, so they want a piece of it,
Mm.
whether they like the product or not. I suppose that's why they would go to those default sort of parameters
Yeah.
rather than not knowing anything about what would sell or what wouldn't sell.
Yeah. Probably.
They get to doing it the wrong way rather than the right way. I don't know, but I'm glad I'm not doing anything like that.
No, me too.
But I mean, do you eventually want to be doing with what you do with a full band? or would you always rather be on your own?
I don't know. I've
Because
not.
you've already said you're like, as far as writing and recording, you're a perfectionist, but performing, would it not be more fun with
I
other
think
people?
I'd probably want to perform with. I actually think it would be fun to perform in as big a band as possible.
Right. Record on your own.
I've been in a 3-piece and I've been in a 4-piece. I don't think I've ever been in a 5-piece. It'd be amazing to be in a 5-piece, and it would be amazing to be in a 10-piece probably and go all out.
That's true.
Yeah.
I suppose we never said that we were in a band together.
Oh yeah, we did. Did you not mention that?
No.
Oh right.
Well, what became Dino More, you were in the original sort of, what's the word? Of that.
Rendition.
First.
Iteration.
Iteration. Yeah, iteration. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I kept them around for some reason.
Chime in now and again.
Where did that
We were
voice
called-
come from? What was that voice?
Who's there?
Black Cash.
Yeah,
That's his original name,
Black
Black
Cash,
Cash.
yeah.
Which, if I remember correctly, it was just in a list of names. It wasn't any specific.
Oh, fuck knows. When did we come? How did we come?
We had,
up
I
with
remember
Black Cash?
at college, we had a list, we had a TXT file
Yeah, we did.
with a long list
Plain
of names, and we
text.
could not agree on a name. And I didn't like Black Cash, but there was nothing better. And you were just adamant, Black Cash. It needs to be Black Cash.
Oh, right, yeah.
I read that in the paper. I thought it was quite a cool name. But I first read it as Black Clash. And I thought that was
right.
cool.
I remember once getting a MySpace message from some band called Black Jash going, let's do a gig together, just because of the name. I was like, what the hell kind of name is Black Jash? But,
Why did we call it Black Cash? Was it some
That was
sort of
it.
anti-capitalist thing then? Was that the?
well, there wasn't the way to choose it. It was because we couldn't think of anything better.
Yeah.
Then you were sort of coming up with reasons why it's a good name, as in it could have been this, could be in that, and I was just like,
I don't think it's got a lot of different meanings
Black
really. When all
Cash.
said,
well, what is Black Cash? What would you consider it to be? Off the black
all
market?
your 1Ps and 2Ps that have been in the monetary system so long that they've picked up all the grime from being in people's wallets.
Or is it illegally earned money? Is that Black Cash?
Oh yeah, Black Cash. Yeah, tax evasion or avoidance, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
So
Who knows?
the name's available if someone wants to have it back.
No, it's not. Don't say that.
But yeah, and then it became Dynamo.
Yes. Oh yes. Yeah, Dynamo. And then there was a magician, wasn't there?
Yeah, bastard from Leeds.
Mm.
So I had to change the name.
Have you ever seen? There's a clip on YouTube of Dynamo with Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer. It was some sort of maybe for comic relief or something.
No, I don't think I have.
It's really funny. It's really funny.
We'll put that in the show notes. We'll find it.
Okay.
People can check it
It's
out.
great.
People will be able to press
Only-
pause now.
Yeah.
Go and watch it.
I only just saw it the other day and it really tickled me. It's funny because
They'll
I think
come back.
they both play like a pair of magicians that are old hands at it and they're like, who's this
young upstart?"
whippersnapper coming onto the streets? He doesn't know magic and stuff. Quite funny.
No, but so further down the line, other than your instrumentals, well, have you thought about where you want to be in like 5 years, 10 years? Do you actually want to be able to get to the point where you just make music from? You could give up your day job. Is that something you really
I think
strive towards?
anybody that plays music would be lying if they didn't say that that was the case. Because why wouldn't you want to do something where you get to control that level of kind of artistic expression and you get paid for it? I think.
Yeah, just to be able to do a job
Yeah.
that is your sole income and it's something
Yeah.
you have a passion for.
I wouldn't want to do it if it wasn't on my terms. I think if somebody said to me, right, you can do it, but you've got to cease doing it on your own with your own little thing that you're doing, and we're going to tell you what to do,
Yeah.
but we will pump money into it, I probably would say no, fuck off.
Because you've also shied away from social media a lot,
Yeah,
which is a huge part of being an artist these days.
yeah, I still wouldn't do that.
Does that make build up part of your mystique?
Well,
no one knows who this guy is.
It's just time I could be spending making music and doing the creative process. I have no interest. With each passing day, I have less interest.
But does come part of like making money is promote yourself on social media.
Yeah,
How else would someone know you're playing a show in their town if you didn't promote it on social media?
because
Nobody really goes to
I
websites
think this
anymore.
is what will happen with Spotify. If Spotify don't make the same mistake that the music labels did before them in getting complacent, resting on laurels, and not innovating and going with the flow, is that Spotify could become, or another product similar, could become a proper social network for musicians and music fans, where there's that real connection, where people can, kickstart albums or projects if the musician is hard up, whatever. Connect properly with them, can stream stuff. If Spotify at the moment is really just like a music store where you can play things for free, and you pay some money if you don't want adverts interspersed between them, and then you can find music that's like it. I know there is a social angle where it's tied in, because I know Facebook was sort of semi-involved with it at one point, but there's the bit where you can see what other people are playing and all that stuff, isn't there? Friends lists and stuff. But it's not really a proper social network in that sense, I don't think.
It does have, if you've linked it up right, you can have your live show showing up in your artist page on Spotify.
That's what I was going to say. So if I somehow manage to find a way to connect with a larger audience through Spotify...
Yeah. But what about when this audience like wanted to know more about you, or wanted to, I don't know, would you be...
Well, if there ever is that demand, then I would see to it, but I'm not going to go actively trying to encourage that demand. Because it just seems a bit desperate to me.
Well, in a way, I suppose it's better that it's just about the music.
Yeah.
So if you became successful, it would be purely on the music, which is what at its core, essential, like the root of it, that's what you want.
I would be quite devastated if this thing... I wouldn't be devastated because it'd be nice, but if I do this thing with the background music, the chill out, whatever it is, concentration music, really, I guess.
Yeah.
If I do that and that somehow takes off, and I'm really lucky with that, I would hate then if that's all I then I can create, because that's all that becomes the revenue stream. I don't know. I just like I like the freedom. I like the freedom to be able to come and go as I please with what I'm doing musically. I don't have to answer to anybody with it.
Yeah.
It's entirely my release schedule, but I've found a way to still at least put stuff out, because that could be an absolute nightmare for a creative, to have unlimited time, unlimited
I don't think
unlimited options. So this is why I found this kind of set myself a challenge, set myself parameters, set myself a deadline, and then just work at it, and that's worked quite well for me. But where I go from beyond that in terms of whether, if I write a really good song and enough people connect with it, or musicians hear it and go, this guy's great, I'd like to play with him, maybe at that point I'd consider doing stuff. But for now I just enjoy making stuff.
I wonder if anybody can be truly successful without compromise.
Well, let's see if I can find a way to do that.
That's the next EP, No Compromise.
The first person in history to not sold out but still sold out.
Right, No Compromise has got to come into the themes at somewhere then.
No compromise. Compromise.
But
I can imagine it's a heavy metal song, actually.
Oh, probably. Yeah. Or an album.
It is.
Is it really?
It was the first song that Zentrix wrote. They're a thrash band from Preston. It was a great song.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, look that up.
I will look it up. But, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if someone does come up now and... I don't know how you'd have to compromise in some ways, not just necessarily musically, but like business-wise or on tour or financially.
I'd love to hear that song, because did they compromise on the length, or does it just go on forever?
I think they compromised on the length. It's about 2.5 minutes long.
That was the compromise.
That was the compromise. Yeah.
But I think you have to compromise.
Life's a compromise, isn't it?
Life is.
Everything you do in some way you have to compromise. I mean, when I talk about having absolute freedom, I don't, because there's only so many hours in a day. There's only so many hours I can set aside to do music. There's only so much energy I can expend on something until I think, why am I wasting my time with this, or have I hit a dead end with it? So everything, at some point, you have to compromise everything.
I think it's more about compromising yourself to get to the point where you don't have to compromise anymore.
Yeah, or it's whether I think it's whether you feel that any compromises you are making are ones where it is undermining what it is you're actually trying to do.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
If you're trying to be a musician and an artist that is trying to create things that are your take on the world and your reflection of things, if you had to stop doing that to make it be something else, that probably is a compromise that is unacceptable, really, I guess.
That's true. And whether your fans would know that you're a compromised artist, or whether you want authenticity to come through.
But then I think being a compromised artist can be very popular. Because you can look at the charts now and see a hell of a lot of compromised people that probably have no real say, or they're certainly not able to be mouthpieces for their own points of view, if they even have them. Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe they've so bought into it that they believe what it is that they've become. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Were you on MySpace back in the day? Do you remember?
I don't think I did MySpace.
I just remember it being like You know MySpace?
I never had
MySpace.
MySpace.
He's
I
too
think
young.
that was before MySpace was before my time. It was dying just as I was getting into social media.
Yeah. I remember just thinking, oh, this Facebook seems to be getting quite popular. And
Yeah.
then like, oh, it's been three months since I've looked at MySpace. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone else has migrated to Facebook. But it's like, was it a couple of years ago, Facebook hit 1 billion people.
Yeah, Facebook's.
It's a phenomenon.
Can we just take a pause so I can go to the toilet? Is that all right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just go for it. We'll talk amongst ourselves.
Cool, man.
But what was it? Facebook you were first on? Was that the first one?
No, I was on one called Bebo.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Did
Bebo,
you?
Yeah,
Did you? Yeah,
I
I
did
think
Bebo.
it was just sort of like a peer pressure type thing. So, okay, still on Bebo, it's great. I was like, yeah,
But it was
yeah.
shit though. I
It
thought
was.
Bebo
Yeah.
shit.
Looking back, it was.
I
crap.
kept thinking, oh, they'll make improvements, it'll get better, but it never did.
No.
And then Facebook, everyone just seemed to gravitate toward Facebook because it made more sense, and it was just easier to use. It just looked better. You could share things. Everyone knew what you were doing. Whereas Bebo was like, you have to send someone a message, and they respond. And it's like, well, were you on MSN Messenger?
Yeah, I had that. Yeah,
That was
that's
pretty
that's
much-
how I spoke to people.
That was pretty much
Bebo was just like a platform for like hey, this is me. This is what I do. This is what I like.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And MSN messaging was just the way to speak to people.
I remember I joined Facebook. I can't remember. I think it might have been Tren actually told me that about Facebook, and like right at the end of 2006,
I think
And
I
then-
joined in 2008, maybe.
and then forgot about it.
Okay.
And then it was like early 2007 when everyone was on it, and you'd have physical conversations with people in the street saying, "Oh, you on Facebook? Have you on Facebook?"
Yeah, that's
like,
what it
was. Like
was.
this new
I know,
big
yeah.
thing that was like, what is this Facebook?
It is a phenomenon. I think people put their lives on Facebook. It's
Yeah.
like if it's not on Facebook, it's not true.
Yeah, I've
know.
actually started to treat it as more like a diary of life.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Like if I'm out with friends who I've been out for ages and we're on a great night, I take a photo and I'll take a picture of us all on, and then it'll come up. Oh, look what you did a year ago. Look what you did 2 years ago.
Yeah. That's
It's like
that's a good.
That's the way I look at it. I've never taken a selfie in my life. I've taken a selfie with other people,
Okay.
but no, people. You got some people's profiles just selfie after men and women.
Yeah,
Selfie
like
after selfie
in,
after
in,
selfie.
in a mirror.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just-
Girls are the worst for that.
Yeah.
Like just random. There's like 8 photos.
And they've like arranged things in the background. Just for this, they've, like set this.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Why? I don't get it. I don't understand.
I know. I just randomly took 8 photos of myself. And
It
behind those 8
boggles the mind.
photos that you've published, there was probably like 100 more that you didn't like.
Yeah, we were just talking about social media and just like the Facebook. I've never taken a selfie in my life. Like I've taken
Have you
selfies with people. If there's a
Yeah.
group of us, hey, we're doing such and such, and like Facebook, I've started using it as like a diary.
Mm.
Like if I'm going somewhere cool with some friends, like when I went to see Metallica, you put and then the next it says, look what you did a year ago, or 2 years ago. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that permanent. But some people, it's just like a vacuum for themselves, where it's just like selfie after selfie after selfie, and it's like, and the statuses that they put up, like,
Yeah.
oh, I burnt my food the other night and ruined. I had to go and get a takeaway. No one cares. No one
I know,
cares.
yeah.
Literally, no one cares.
The things I only post, like I post like the occasional picture of something that someone might find like funny or cool
Yeah.
or interesting.
Exactly.
It's just adding to sort of my online presence, I suppose.
Yeah, and
But
I've never.
I don't live there,
No.
and I only post things that people will find either interesting or funny.
Yeah, it's not like, here, look at me. Aren't
Yeah.
I brilliant?
Look at
kind of
me,
thing.
look at me
No.
doing this. We're
No.
going to an expensive hotel for the weekend.
Mm.
Ooh.
I think if you could take somebody from the late 90s in a time machine and bring them to the present day, and you try and sell the idea of social media to them, they go, fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
What a waste of time.
They
I'm not
run
do- I'm
very
not doing
quickly in
that.
the opposite
They'd
direction.
probably say, I don't have the time for that.
Yeah,
But we seem to have. Not only
Yeah.
do we have the time, it's taken up most of our time.
yeah,
Which is weird.
yeah. There's quite a lot of anti-social media sentiment on my EP, actually, if I
That's
think
fine.
about it.
That's fine.
But to go back to selfies then, so there was something in the news just last week, I think it was, that the millennials...
Is that, just to clarify, is millennials the people who were born around 2000?
No, it's people who came of age at the turn of the century. So I'm
Okay.
a millennial. I am a
Okay,
millennial.
I might be just,
But
I'm
I'm-
a bit too old for that then.
Well, how old were you in 2000?
19.
Yeah, I think you're a millennial.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just had a thought of like if a millennial was, I know, yeah, I
Mm.
suppose I thought it was like if someone was born in 2000,
Mm.
so that now they're 17, they're coming of age now.
No. They're Generation Z now.
I see. Generation Z.
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know what's going to come next.
They run out of letters.
No, they're fucked, haven't they?
Oh, it'll be
So
gener-
when you start the end of the
No,
alphabet.
it'll be generation hashtag. That's what it'll be. We'll
Oh,
go to characters.
God.
But anyway,
yeah. So millennials spend, it was something like 2.5 days a year taking selfies. If you add up all the time across the year, it's equivalent to 2.5 days.
do you think all social media is bad then?
I just think it encourages narcissism.
Well, yeah, it does.
And I think that it just sets a dangerous precedent for people's relationship with technology. That they're happy to share all these things. There was something. So that Facebook's got a real problem with people, vindictive people posting naked photos of ex-partners and things.
Oh, yeah.
So Facebook Australia's come up with this idea. I'm sure I've read this. I assume this is true. That people will, if you want to protect yourself from that, upload pictures of yourself naked in advance. We will use a computer algorithm to detect what your naked body looks like in digital form, and then if anybody else posts those pictures, we'll automatically blocked. Yeah. But I know. But the problem is that apparently, because it's a new scheme of theirs, they're all going to be looked at by real human beings to begin with anyway.
Yes.
Is it sort of have you been a victim of credit card fraud? Type in your details here.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that, isn't it?
Actually, I can't remember who it was. There is a good ad campaign about being careful about what you put on social media. Where it was a picture of a girl, and she was in a restaurant.
Oh, was that with the card on the table?
She had a card on her wallet. Like, oh, there's a credit card number. Then she had a photo outside a house, so I know what number she lives at. And then it was like something else. So they eventually built up a whole profile just from just looking at her social media, which I imagine happens a lot. People don't think about stuff like that. But I don't think all social media is bad.
People can steal your identity by doing that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what that was about. Like being able to create an account, a credit card account, using what they've found off you just by looking at your social media.
I just think that I think social media in and of itself isn't a bad concept. I think that when it now exists to turn everybody into just data statistics that can be used to be mined.
Well, that's it.
It kind of feels a little bit.
If you become a commodity,
it feels like something. It does feel like something out of a dystopian nightmare now. Yeah. Really, it does. And it feels like everybody's
all for sale.
Everybody's too complicit in being happy with that contract with Silicon Valley. I think people should. There's too much ignorance. People don't really know what it is they're doing. They're just funneling all their lives up to this, and they don't seem to. There's no consequences of what that could actually lead to in the future. I think, or how that could affect their ability to. I think as well, most people seem to think that social media is their space. It's not. It doesn't belong to them. It doesn't belong to you in many ways. It doesn't belong to you in that you've ceased to own that data. You've ceased to own that information. Yeah. It also doesn't belong to you in that if at any given point any drama was to come out of you having posted something or whatever, and your employer caught wind of it, you would be sacked.
Yeah, that's the thing about people smartening up their. Yeah. Because Facebook clamped down on having. Not your real name. Yeah. People used to say either change your account to your real name or we'll delete your account. Yeah. And that's just so they can sell your data. Yeah. That's just so they can get a more accurate picture of yourself.
Apparently as well, what they do now, Facebook, once you've been on there for a while, because have you heard all these conspiracy theories, people saying that they'd said something that they would never normally say, and then next thing they know, an advert's popped up on Facebook related to this thing that they've said. And they're like, well, it must be that the Facebook app's listening to all my conversations.
It's usually your internet search history, isn't it?
Well, there was some interview about that, and with a Facebook employee, I think, and they'd said, oh, it's not that we do that. Well, we wouldn't tell you if we did, I assume. But they go above and beyond in researching you behind the scenes. They actually don't just mine the data that you've put in. They go to other places to try and build a better picture of who you are so they can sell more targeted advertising.
That definitely knows that. Like all that clicking about, no, I don't wish my details to be shared with third parties. Well, they might as well just not have that because it just means nothing. Yeah. It's going to happen. Yeah. It's just like to make you feel a bit better. Oh, I'm glad that they're not going to share. Because they fucking are. Yeah.
People put statuses up like say, oh, I officially declare that Facebook may not use my details for this. Too late.
Yeah. You're writing it on their platform, Facebook. Which they own. You don't own it. So I don't know why you think that would work. That'll make any difference.
I'm going to join Facebook and have an anti-Facebook profile. So on that every post.
I hate. Because I remember. Do you remember when you did join MySpace, you used to get the creator...
Tom as your first friend.
Tom as your only friend.
Yeah.
Aww. Whatever happened to him?
I don't know.
Cause
he was wearing a white T-shirt, wasn't he, in the picture?
Yeah, he was like in a classroom, he was like looking around like that. Because it still exists, MySpace, as far as I know.
Yeah, he got bought out by News International, I think. I don't know why they bought it.
God, yeah.
It was like it was dying, and then they thought, "Oh yeah, we'll buy that." Why?
Because around that time there was also Friends Reunited.
Yeah.
Did you on that?
No, I didn't go on Friends
I didn't
Reunited.
on that because that was before there was no other way to look up people.
Yeah.
In the past.
Well, Facebook's completely replaced, I assume. Now.
Yeah, that used to be, and you used to have to pay for that.
Mm.
Then it went to a free service, and then it just kind of disappeared. Then it became they transformed it into like a family tree history kind of service.
Oh, is that what it is now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What about Twitter then? What do you think about Twitter?
I quite like Twitter. I've started using it a bit more. I've started to get, especially for the podcast, get a bit more interaction. Actually, they've just doubled the character.
Yeah, they have, haven't they?
I liked the fact that you had to try and be more concise and constructive with what you wanted to say. You couldn't just go blah, blah,
so many
blah.
people just seem to disregard that by posting screenshots of long posts. I always saw that. It's like, so.
Yeah, they do that. But no, I like Twitter. I think you don't get as much spam and you don't get as much bullshit. Although you still do get those sponsored posts coming in your feed. Where like,
yeah,
I don't want to see that. I'm not. But then again, I'm using a free service. It's not costing me anything, so I can't really complain. But I also like Instagram. Which is
Instagram's Facebook as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Facebook owns it. But that's just about pictures and all the hashtags that you put on it. But we get probably the most interaction between Facebook and Instagram.
Instagram looks to me, and I sound like a real old man when I say this, but the bits I've seen of Instagram look like it would be really, really damaging to young people's mental health. From what I've seen of it, just because of the way that people, you're nodding in agreement.
I was just about to say, I think there's a very strong correlation between people's exposure to social media and mental health issues in people under 25.
Yeah, people having an unrealistic idea about what you should be presenting to the world as yourself. I think that is, there's a real danger there that young people can't switch off from this stuff because they're peer pressure and it's become so ingrained in our lives that it's almost seen as it's bizarre that it is strange me not being on social media. It shouldn't be a big thing. We should have as many people on social media as are on it, but it seems like I'm in the real minority.
I think if I hadn't had the band and the music career and then this, I probably would have gone off it by now. But I can see there's a lot of use. We like it. It works. Like I use it. I'm trying to use it in the right way.
Yeah.
I'm not trying not to. It's not pure self-promotion and look at me and attention seeking. Like, I think I'm doing something that's pretty cool and people seem to like it. So I just put it out there. All I do is try and put it in the places where similar things, they're also there as well. Yeah. Like, this is clearly, we've just taken the Joe Rogan Experience podcast model and just applied it to the music industry. I've said that numerous times on this podcast. I'm not trying to hide from it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But it works.
Yeah.
His model works. And it's a good brand. They're consistent. So we've just kind of tried to do that as well. And I wouldn't want to do it any other way. So.
Well, I've enjoyed being on here anyway.
But I don't know. It's just. Yeah, I think social media for some people, especially young people, get into it now.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should be the kind of person that likes being on social media because I like talking about myself. I like being. I'm probably have got certain narcissistic tendencies. You could probably argue that anybody that's wants to be an artist that then wants to put their art out there and have people listen to it, whatever, in some way is attention seeking in some form or feels a need to do that. So I don't. Yeah. But then I just enjoy making music, so I don't know how. I could just make it and do it myself, but I have the means to do it, so why not?
It depends whether how important it is that you want other people to hear it.
Yeah.
Because
I used to really want that,
and
now I don't mind.
What most people want, what artists want, is validation.
Yeah.
From other people that what you're doing is. Does anyone like it? Does
anyone
care?
That's
Is
true.
Anyone listening? I mean, how else would you know?
But then also. Some of the greatest artists of all time never receive validation during their lifetimes, and then
that's true.
And then their work got discovered. So
I think the other difficult thing is now is that with social media, there's just so many artists out there. You're just entering into a sea of just how do you stand out?
There's too much. There's too much.
You could argue that you stand out more by not being there. if you're only available in certain places.
Yeah.
But like the old school bands used to do before social media, just go on tour.
Yeah.
Organically build up a fan base of
Yeah.
real people, real interaction.
Yeah.
People like who like your music because they've seen you live. Like and the old model of supporting bigger artists.
Yeah.
Get put in front of their artists, acquire some of their fans, and just build it up that way. That's
I think word of mouth and
it can't be underestimated.
I remember when the Arctic Monkeys came out and the record label made this big hoo-ha about, this is the first band that's ever come out of social media, and they were the MySpace band, they said. And the band themselves went, no, some fans bootlegged our shows and put it on MySpace. We had nothing to do with it at all. We didn't even know what it was. We didn't have accounts or anything.
I wish there was
Just
something the other day. A band, I can't remember which band it was, stopped the show and asked people to leave who were filming the show on their phones.
I think Coldplay did that for one song anyway.
It was really recently, it was in the news. It's just like...
Yeah, that does annoy me about concerts, people bloody waving their smartphones.
That's just the way it is.
Just bloody watch the music.
Like
enjoy the experience.
I went to see Metallica, and then 2 days later I went to see Falling Red. One was like 20,000, one was like a few hundred.
Yeah,
and it was the same.
Still the same.
Exactly the same. No difference. People, every other person was someone with their phone out. Some people with a fucking massive iPad.
Is that a thing though, where it's become a validation now? Where
look where I am.
Are they trying to? Yeah, it's I don't.
Because a lot of them go live in a really shitty video feed where you can't hear the sound.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I often thought, for the bigger artists, why don't they just get a shitty camera and put it at the side of the stage? We're going to film it in shitty quality where you can't see it and can't hear it. You can have it for free at the end. Just put your fucking phone down.
Don't give it for free. It's a merch opportunity there. Charge twice as much as the official video thing. Get that authentic, in the crowd, shitty, shaky camera footage.
I mean, I take a photo or maybe a video clip right at the beginning. Once the first song started or like that, just because I'm there, I want to document it. And then I put my phone away and I enjoy the show. Whereas some people, they're there for the entire show with their phone out.
I don't even actually have a smartphone.
Well, you're in the minority.
Yeah.
But is that...
But that's probably a product
that goes hand in hand with you not being on social media. That's a product of not being on social media, because most people's smartphones are just notification. They're an extension of their self.
Yeah, they just...
And are you just sort of worried that that would be you? Do you have that personality where if you had social media and your phone was pinging every 5 minutes with, this person said this...
I just like minimalism. I would hate to have a device that was just shitting out notifications to me every 5 seconds, some little red circles there with a number in that I have to press to see what the fuck's happening. I wouldn't want a life...
dictated to by that.
Yeah, enslaved by that, yeah.
It's interesting, because that's a lot of people's life. It's like, this device is like telling me what... Like it's sucking a lot of you into it.
If smartphones had been around when I was 16, 17, whatever, then because
you'd have been.
I've always loved technology, which is why I find myself bizarrely in a kind of contradictory state where I love technology, but I hate what technology is kind of doing
to society,
and what has become the most popular way that most people interact with technology. Because that isn't. And sorry to keep plugging my EP.
That's fine.
But there's a
That's
lyric.
Why you're here.
There is a lyric about that in the rap song about. To me, the internet that I see now is not the internet that I recognise as I was growing up. What it meant to me, what that space I thought promised. In the coming decades, I didn't see this future, and
I don't think anybody did.
And I don't know whether I feel like
it's
entirely
surprising,
better or worse than what it is.
If you think of mainstream culture and people, is it surprising that it's ended up that way?
I don't think it's surprising it's ended that way. If you look at Silicon Valley and you see how much they believe so much in what they're doing being right, and that they don't think that they're doing anything damaging. This is what
they don't care.
Well, this is what Sean Parker was saying. The very much the culture at the beginning was like, we want to completely command people's attention, so we want these devices to be, and these systems and these products to be things where they cannot take their eyes off it. They want to be engaged with it all the time. They don't want to be ever offline from this thing. But that isn't inherent. That's not a bad thing. They didn't see that as being something that could be a bad thing. And it's only now we've all been used as their lab rats, as it were, that you can start to see, and there's generations growing up where they were kids where, you know, they try and swipe an actual book because they think it's, you know, stuff like stuff like that.
Or you give them a Walkman.
Yeah,
no,
they wouldn't have a clue.
Fuck.
Yeah. That we're really starting to see the actual effects of it, and whether it is something that is healthy for our culture, or whether it's something that maybe it's too late. Maybe the genie can't go back in the bottle now.
No, I don't think you can. But like you're a bit of an anomaly in that how, like, you have to wait till you go home to check your emails. At the end of the day,
yeah.
If you're out and about, you have no idea if someone's emailed you.
I'll
find
can't,
out when I get home.
Well, I can't. Yeah, I don't even really check my emails at home.
It's phone and text.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Like
SMS.
Yeah, but there's not many people. You really are in the minority these days.
Yeah, because I just like being low tech.
But in a way,
because I feel like actually the more digital noise I have, the more I can't focus on trying to make good music.
But that's what I was going to say. Not just musically, but just generally being productive.
Yeah,
and done.
Yeah, and
doing what you need to get done.
Yeah.
As a priority, rather than I'll do that in a minute once I've done this.
Yeah.
Which this thing in your hand isn't very important.
Yeah.
But
well, I have no internet on my computer, my digital audio workstation.
So when you do music, it's just
all it does is that it has no games on it, has nothing on except.
I remember that.
Music software. Actually,
when I do the demos for our stuff, I used to just turn the internet off.
Yeah.
Because I knew that something was going to bug me.
Yeah.
And it was going to distract me.
Plus, it would waste.
That.
Plus, your internet's so slow here, you'd be waiting
exactly,
ages.
Exactly. But I remember that comes from you. That.
But I tell you where I nicked that from was, I think. Was it the author of Game of Thrones or something? It was some writer anyway, some American writer who'd said, or is Game of Thrones written by a British writer? I don't know.
No idea.
I have no idea. I don't watch Game of Thrones.
No,
I don't know. But it was some writer anyway. Maybe it was Jonathan Franzen. I can't remember now, but I read about this writer who said, I have to just disconnect. I have to have a computer where it's offline for writing, because otherwise there's... And again, this goes back to my idea of limitations and stuff. Because if you sat a device that allows you to look up any information you want at all, the world's library is just there, how are you going to get any work done with that there?
I was talking to a friend not so long ago, and they were talking about how their kids, I can't remember what it said, but something about they knew what transgender was, and a few other words. And like, this kid was 10, and like people were just like, how do you even know? And like, I didn't know that when I was 10. Yeah, but you didn't have the internet. Like, kids now can literally look up anything they want to find out about, and they can get go deep into a subject and know all about it within a few hours. Whereas, I don't know, like back in the day, you just knew what you got taught at school, or what was on the TV, or what an adult maybe's told you. But you couldn't go on your own and just going to the library, I suppose.
Yeah.
Who would ever want to go to the library and look through loads of books? And you could just literally type in, I want to find out about this. There's everything you need to know about this. There, go.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like, so kids are a bit more switched on, or a bit more knowledgeable these days. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe in some ways there is that knowledge, but is it being used for good, or are they spending most of the time with, the most powerful machine that mankind has ever created, and kids all have it in their pocket, but all they're doing is using it to send each other inappropriate nude photographs? Well, there is that, yeah. There's good and bad to both of it, I suppose. But, yeah, it's like...
It depends. The real proof will be in the pudding as to whether, generations that come up are actually brighter, sharper, more aware, have better cognitive abilities, can do more things with their brains. If they can't, then all this technology has just vegetated them.
Yeah, it's like all the stuff that's coming out about mental health.
And made them hate themselves even more than they maybe would have done.
It was never spoken about, was it? It was never even a...
Well, there was
already suffered
there
from
was
it,
computer games and things. I mean, I remember when there was there was like computer games and video nasties and things like that. There was always stuff that that there was aspects of culture that could be damaging to children, and that they maybe shouldn't have televisions in their bedrooms at a young age if they were watching them unsupervised and things like that. But it's just out of control now, isn't it? Really, and parents are probably more concerned with their own social media profile than.
Well, or you get them where they'll to pacify their kids. Here's a tablet.
Yeah.
It's like, here's a tablet. Silence.
Well, that was actually just in the news about YouTube Kids not being appropriate for kids because it's
yeah.
full of weird, disturbing videos of Spider-Man with 8 heads and Peppa Pig having teeth yanked out by a dentist and being in fucking agony. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a fine balance though between like they've got to learn some stuff. They need to know some. It can't all be sweetness and light.
I don't know. What can you do? How do you police it? Can the internet be policed?
Well, it's like I suppose not having kids. I don't know. What do we know? Our opinion is that's the one that if you talk to someone who has got kids, what do you know? You haven't got kids. It's like, well, fair enough. But anyway, so your EP is available now.
Yes.
And
at Tren.bandmusic. No, not bandmusic. What is it?
Bandcamp.
Tren.bandcamp.com. Yes.
As these URLs go for these services, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah,
it's nice and short.
I'm happy with that.
It's called Rolled In. Was it all
Rolled into one.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you're going to put the lyrics up.
I'll put the lyrics up.
And we'll put the link to it in the show notes. Thanks for coming down. I've loved talking to you.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
And we'll meet up again soon for a pint.
Sounds good, man.
So, cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers.